Hi everybody, this is a video I've been wanting to make for quite a long time, but it's finally here, the McCartney Legacy, brand new major biography of Paul McCartney by Alan Kozin and Adrian Sinclair is now out. If you're in the United States, you might have had this book a little while already, but in the UK there's been a little bit of a delay, which I'm going to talk about later on in this video. But I just received this yesterday and I want to say a big thank you to the two authors and to HarperCollins who sent me this book. I'm very grateful for that. This is an American copy, as you can see from the price up at the top there. But the UK copies are on the way soon, like I say, I'll talk about it. So what is the McCartney Legacy? Well, it's Mark Lewison level of research really, but as a biography of Paul McCartney from kind of the point where the Beatles come to an end onwards. The following two parts are going to be coming hopefully in a quicker time frame than Mark Lewison's Beatles Tune In books. Potentially we might only be a couple of years away from the second volume of this coming out. Now I'm going to put some links down below if you want to buy this, if you haven't done already. If you're in the UK and you're wanting it before Christmas, then fingers crossed. It's currently advertised as being December 22nd release, and if you want it before Christmas, I would suggest you either get down to your nearest major bookshop and hope that they've got it in store, or see whether Amazon Prime are able to get it to you before Christmas, for example. So let's have a little look at this. There's the front cover. Interesting choice of photograph. I think it's not what we would have guessed was going to be used, but it's quite a striking cover. I do like that. The McCartney Legacy, Volume 1, 1969 to 73. Alan Kozin, Adrian Sinclair. This is the hardback copy that I've got here, and this dust jacket I'll take off in a moment. We'll see what's underneath it, but let's get you a real good close-up of the blurb on the back there. So the fact that they've actually got an acknowledgement and recommendation from Mark Lewison, I think, is a major boon for this book. That cannot harm at all. We might have there might have been people hoping that Mark Lewison, once he'd finished the Beatles books, would be able to do these kind of biographies. That's not going to happen. So it's great that we've got the likes of Alan and Adrian, who can bring us the book that Paul McCartney's solo career deserves, really, because we've not had this level of depth before. I'll talk in a moment about sort of where it starts and where this goes up to, but let me just take this dust jacket off 1 second. And before I put that down, I will just show you. This is the kind of stuff that you would get a chance to have a read of in the shop before you buy, so I don't feel guilty about showing you fully what's on here. If you want to pause that and read that at your leisure, you are more than welcome to do so. That's on the inside front cover of the dust jacket. And on the back cover, we've got this one. So again, if you want to have a read of that, hopefully you can see that okay. So let's just put that down a moment. Underneath is a plain hardback book with just the that's upside down. There you go. There's the spine there. The McCartney Legacy. Okay. So where does this book start? Well, it kind of starts around the September, October, November of 1969 period, when the Beatles are dissolving. They are going to be no more, even if the world doesn't know it yet. The book picks up from this point. Paul's gone off to Scotland to his farm up near Campbelltown on the Mull of Kintyre. He's retreated there with Linda and Heather and Mary and their dog. And we get far more detail than I've ever read before about the incident with Life magazine, for example, with them going and trying to prove that Paul McCartney's still alive, basically, after those crazy Paul is dead rumours were flying around at that particular point. I mean, those rumours should have ended there and then. We shouldn't still be having all this nonsense today that's going on. But like I say, a lot more detail about what actually happened at that time when the reporters were up there. I only got this book yesterday, so I've not had a chance to read a great deal of it at all, but I certainly read the first few pages where that's described in detail. I also wanted to look specifically at the Wings University Tour of 1972 section, because I was asking the question months ago of the authors, hoping that, are you going to give us a lot of detail about the university tour? And they promised that they would be talking about that in, I think they said it was something like in Technicolor detail. So I went to that section, and certainly I read far more information and detail and depth about what was going on in the university tour than I've seen in any other book. Previously, the book that I always rave about, and I still think this is a fantastic book, is Man on the Run by Tom Doyle. This is a really great book for focusing on Paul in the early 1970s. But this just goes to a whole other level compared to that book. This is really focusing on the detail in depth I've not seen before, and an artist of Paul McCartney's calibre deserves that, and I don't think he's had that level of Lewison-like research before. So I'm going to show you the contents, just to give you an idea of what kind of things are covered in there. Some of them might be little teasers, some of them might be quite descriptive as to what's going to be in the book. But I'd certainly recommend reading that introduction. I don't always read introductions to books, but I did read this one, and I'm glad I did, because this introduction section is really useful for, it's kind of an overview of what the book is, but also why they've written it in the way that they've written it. So it's been written very much from a point of view of you wouldn't have an event explained and then it talk about the ramifications in the future. For example, it talks about things as though they are happening there and then. So if let's say, for example, if they're talking about December 1969 and a song that Paul's working on only has a working title at that point, then when December 1969 has been talked about, they will use that working title because that's all there was at that point. A little bit like if it was a diary that's been written, even though it's not written in diary style, it's written with the information that would have been available at that point rather than the benefit of hindsight. If you get what I mean. If you've read that introduction, you will get what I mean by that. So this book covers, you can see how thick it is. How many pages is it altogether? This is, well, it's about 700 pages altogether. I think if you buy the ebook, I think it's more, and it's because it doesn't quite fit as much text on each page. So some people had been a bit confused about why is the sort of online Kindle type version a bigger book. It's not, it's just not as much information on each page. So this goes up to the point of Band on the Run. And the authors say that they will be really going into depth about the sessions for Band on the Run over in Lagos in Nigeria in way more depth than we've ever read before. Forensic detail that we have not seen previously. So I'm really looking forward to that section as well, to uncover some new bits of information about those sessions. And it goes up to the release and the kind of reception of Band on the Run and sort of how it performed in the charts. That's where this book ends, and presumably that's where Volume 2 is going to kick off from when that comes out in, it's suggested maybe a couple of years' time. So that's great that we're not having to wait 10 years for a Volume 2. We love Mark Lewison, but we know it takes a long time. But he's trying to do the job right. These guys have been doing their research for years and years. They're able to get into the writing maybe a little bit quicker. So I'm really looking forward to reading this book. Like I said before, if you're in the UK, there might be a little bit of a delay. You might have been expecting to get the book on the 13th of December, and that hasn't happened in the UK. Basically, there's been production issues at the UK printing press. They ran out of paper, would you believe? It's all a knock-on from the war in Ukraine, as a lot of things have been over this year. So it has had a bit of a delay. It's described as December 22nd release for this now. I hope that date happens. I've no reason to believe that it won't, because they're saying at the moment that that's what it's going to be. So let me know if you've been reading this book, what you think of it so far. Would love to, I'm sure other people would love to see sort of how people are getting on with this book. When I finish this book, I will be back with a full review of it. So I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into this. It's the book that Paul McCartney's solo career deserves. So in terms of what I'm going to be doing, this might be my last video before Christmas. We'll find out. I've got one more video planned that I want to do, certainly before New Year, and unless there's any kind of unexpected news type videos that come along that I feel need a bit of attention. But other than that, I've got one video. It may or may not be before Christmas, but it'll definitely be before New Year. So if I don't speak to you before Christmas, have a wonderful one, have a great one. I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to spend lots of time reading this because I've got quite a bit of time off work. I hope to bring you this video much earlier today, but I got engrossed in that World Cup final. Was that one of the world's greatest World Cup finals there's been? I think it was, but it's just meant that I've been a few hours delayed with this video if it had been a dull one. But anyway, enough of me rambling on. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy the McCartney legacy if you're going to be getting it, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.